this is what I came to learn over the years. Your network is what gets you into the door. It's your skills that's going to keep you in that. Run your race. You're going to get tired. You're going to have to tap into yourself. But it's a marathon. You will get there over time. As you pass a lap, you will learn new things. You will get a different strategy on how to run that next lap a certain way. Just respect the process, and it's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
When discouragement come across you, just remember why you're doing it. And if that value still outweighs the stress, keep pushing, man. Cause like, it's gonna be worth it. You know what I mean? Like, my process, I'm not done. None of us is done. You know what I mean? And I feel like when we get to what we want to get to, we're gonna be like, I want to do something else now. So like, just always be ready to level it up. And like, really, you gotta change for the situations.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the Inspire to Inspire podcast. So today I am super stoked. I actually have two extremely close friends of mine on today's episode. Usually when I do the introductions, I've been having my phone, I have a whole intro, but I know this story is pretty much by heart at this point. So today, on today's episode, we got Chase Johnson. He is a USC Film School alumni. Really just was able to graduate. He was able to get a job at Collabo Inc. under Kenya Barris as a office PA, and it's really had an amazing journey, bro. You've been doing your thing. I remember when you first graduated at a college, and you told me, you're like, yo, I want to work with somebody who's doing it in my lane, and for you to fall in office, with Kenya and that entire team, I know it was amazing, so I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And then we also got one of my other best friends, Mr. Reggie Lucky.
No.
Now, Reggie Luck has so much experience in the film business in terms of both in front and behind the cameras. Over the years, I've seen Reggie, be the person who is self-efficient, self-reliant, get himself his own casting, his own auditions when he had no representation, and at the same time being a first AD on sets, running productions as well, even being a PA, working all kinds of different jobs just to get his feet wet in the game, to the point now you're with Daniel Hoff.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You got a big agent now.
Got a big agent, got it myself.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, of course, help from other people in this industry, you know what I mean? My boy, seen the grind in there, and blessed me with the opportunity to get in contact with him. So it was a blessing.
Man, and here's what's dope, right? So both Chase and Reg have such unique experiences in what they're manifesting. The reason I wanted to get these two on the episode today is because the both of you guys, for example, are both in the process of manifesting exactly what you want, right? But you have somebody who technically took a traditional route. You have somebody that took an untraditional route, but yet you guys are both obtaining your goals. Mm-hmm. And I think that's so dope just in terms of mindset, exactly. Right? So for example, you went the film school route like I did. I went to LA Film School, you went to USC Film School, graduated, and then you already kind of had your plan there. Reggie, he didn't go the college route.
Oh yeah, I dropped out.
Yeah.
I dropped out. I was like, this ain't for me.
Yeah, but the dope part though is you had a dope network, right?
Yeah,
you had a dope network of people to build with, starting off with doing a lot of the videos with Cap and Jimmy on YouTube,
right,
and those blowing up, and then just leveling up to now working on full scale productions, when it comes to movies, TV shows, and all of that. So, when it comes to every podcast, I always like to hit people with a certain question, just to kind of, get into it, but Chase, for me, I feel like we've had all kinds of conversations about this, right?
100%.
But like, why filmmaking? What made you want to step into the realms of becoming a filmmaker, and why do you feel like being a filmmaker, being a writer and a director allows you to utilize your voice in the best way that you can?
100%. I mean, I think the core thing is imagination. Like, my main passion, I always saw myself being on TV or in proximity to a television, right? Like, for example, I used to act when I was a kid. I used to go on auditions. Like, I was on set. I was a whole ass actor. I realized that wasn't going to be my route. I realized the rejection, all that just wasn't what I was trying to do. When I was on set and saw what these guys did behind the scenes, creating the story, it was just like playing with my action figures. They're telling us what to do. They're guiding these people to just play, explore. I was like, that's what I see myself doing for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I'm going to research, quest, you know what I mean? Put myself out there to try to figure out how could I position myself here and do this for the rest of my life. So like, yeah, man, I just love looking at people, exploring people.
And now that's led you to now doing your own docu-film based on your own brother.
My own brother.
Yeah.
You know, Devin Johnson, shout out to, that's one of my childhood best friends, man. Just to give y'all a quick little synopsis too, I known Chase since he was like literally like a kid, like the shortest little kid running around. Now he's 6'6".
I'm
crazy.
6'6".
You know what I'm saying? But that's what's dope. Now you're doing your own project on Devin Johnson. Just to guys give you an update on Devin. Devin's a badass artist. He was on the 30 under 30 Forbes when it comes to, you know, just being a sick ass painter. Just keep it real. You know, he has all kinds of credentials, all kinds of articles and magazines. But, you know, me and you both know Devin's journey in the process of becoming who he is today as now a established artist. You know, there's a difference between working your ranks, but now he's established. And for you to now create this documentary film starting from when you guys are kids to now, I think it's so dope. So before I dive into that, I wanted to ask Reggie the same question. Like, Reggie, like, how come you decided not to go the traditional route? What made you want to actually drop out of college and decide to go, like, you know what? I know I want to be a film, I want to be an actor, but this side ain't for me, but I have a network of people and I can build with them. So, like, what made you want to go that route versus the college?
When I dropped out, I didn't know I wanted to be an actor.
Oh, shit.
To be real. I broke my hand. Lost my way. I dove into coaching, but before that, when I was in high school, I always went back to drama. Like, it was something always after the season, I always went back and went to the drama classes, and then it didn't hit me till like my third year of coaching. I ain't feeling it no more. You know what I'm saying? And it was my boy Cap giving me, shout out to young Cap, giving me the opportunity to give my first PA job on a round table, something like this, where I just see people that's inspiring others and really making their own way independently, building their own brand. And I was like, oh, this tight. And then actually being in that, the way I was floating and working, I was noticing, dang, I'm building a network myself because everybody's vibing. I'm using me to really like get it in, you know what I mean? And like really show who I am and like just really put my foot in the door. And that's when it clicked. I was like, bro, you've always wanted to do this. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, that's when it clicked. That day right there, it was, I want to say around like January, beginning of 2017, bro. It hit me. And I was like, dang, I want to dive into entertainment.
I always love those moments, like when you know that, like when you realize how your passion finds you versus you finding it, you know. And I feel like, you know, when you're doing what you love, right? For example, right, when all of us, when we're on set, rather be in front of the camera or behind the camera, like I know we've had conversations where it's like it feels like breathing almost. It's like, yo, there's no other element in the world that I love being on versus like being part of this process, right? Chase, when it comes to, you know, you and your journey right now, right? I know you actually just left Kenyon Barris's office to go fully independent and fully like full scale. Yeah, just fully like all hands on deck on your docu-film and on your other projects you're writing, right? What was the experience like going from college to working with Kenyon Barris?
Oh, shit. So check this. Went to USC.
Okay.
Dope experience. Talk about network. You know, you said you dropped out of school.
Yeah.
I transferred into USC. And even though I'm from LA and I know a lot of people, to be at USC and to be in a network where you could meet a kid next to you and his dad's the CEO of Cuties, Oranges, or you could be at school in class with Sylvester Stallone's daughter. It was the network that you're being exposed to that really made a difference. So I was in that comfortability, that space of just all these kids who really didn't seem like they had a care in the world, outside of not knowing what they wanted to do for themselves outside of school.
Gotcha.
You know, so now I get out of school, I'm without a job for a year and a half. Like, I'm working at Warner Music Group, looking at termination notices for ex, employees, and I'm throwing it away, organizing it, filing it, and just coordinating the move for them. I was just working odd jobs. Like, my boy Will, he's a great cinematographer, William Rouse. He would just like invite me on sets, and I'd be shooting or being the grip for a Fashion Nova commercial. He's gonna get mad at me for saying that, but yes, bro, we were working on Fashion Nova commercials just for some bread.
Hey, I respect that.
And
That's what you gotta do.
Come on,
Respect it.
and nothing, no disrespect to Fashion Nova, it's an amazing brand,
Fashion Nova.
but it was just a different vibe. So then when I got this job working for Kenya, it was so interesting on how it turned out. Like, this writer came to my house trying to purchase a painting from Devin. Mom and dad see him pull up to the house in a Maserati, black Maserati, fly as hell. His name is Doug Hall, great writer. He pulls up and he starts looking at Devin's paintings, trying to acquire a painting. My parents say, "Hey, what do you do?" He's like, "Oh, I'm a writer." And they're like, "Oh, really? Our youngest son's a writer." And he was like, "Word?" And then they were like, "Yeah." And they kept on talking. And she was like, "Where are you from, Doug?" He's like, "I'm from Compton. I grew up with my grandmother." And she's like, "I'm from Compton. I grew up with my grandmother." And then so they start connecting. Then they're like, "You want some food or anything?" He's like, "No, I'm vegan." They're like, "We're vegan." So they all kind of tapped in. And so they pretty much just said, "I'm going to just ask you, my son's an aspiring writer. He wants to get an opportunity in this film industry. He's hungry. He writes scripts all the time in his room. This is all he sees himself doing. Is it possible if you could help him or just read a script?" And he's like, "Look, I don't normally do this, but since you guys are a vibe, I will read your son's script. I'll send you my email, tell him to send me whatever he has, and I'll honestly make time to read it. And if
Go from there.
And send him a script." It was kind of dope. It was about these kids living on a black sands beach and just living. It was kind of like Lost Boys, but on a black sands beach with black kids.
So you send him the script, and what happens?
Bro, he tells me to come to the lot. I pull up to a studio, Raleigh Studios.
LA.
Yeah, it's right across the street from Paramount Studios. And my dad said, when you walk onto that studio, just imagine yourself being there every day, because you need to start thinking like that. I sit down with Doug in this little cafe. It's called Sunset Cafe. You see old pictures of like
I love Sunset Cafe.
Hollywood,
I love
like
Sunset
like
Cafe.
Hollywood royalty. Like, you're just
Like old school.
1930s silent. So you're like, damn, they were here. And then so I sit with Doug. We start talking. He tells me about the script, what he liked about it. We talk about movies. Next thing you know, I start walking. I see this man in a sweatsuit and another smaller man with a beard with a matching sweatsuit, and they look like 2000s. Rappers, like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So and then the guy was like, "Hey, I just got off the phone with your brother today." He had earrings and shit.
Okay.
And I didn't know who he was, because I really thought Kenya Barris was a woman, to be honest with you.
That's hilarious. Hey, I'm gonna just second that with you. I did too.
And so Kenya, to be honest, your name is amazing.
He's a boss too.
And he's a boss, and he's a real one. But I never knew what Kenya Barris looked like. I had no reference. So then I see this guy with the earrings on, and he's like, "I just got off the phone with your brother." And I was like, "Word?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh," and he's like, "Oh," I was like, "Yo, what's good, bro? I'm Chase." He's like, "Kenya." And I was like, click.
Gotcha.
I was like, "Oh, okay, Kenya." And then I meet his right-hand man, Hale Rothstein, great writer, dope dude. They start talking to me, find out where I went to school. He's like, "Oh, word." Next thing you know, I go hang out with a friend. I come back, I get an email saying, "Hey, yo, could you start work on Monday?"
And that's just how the journey started.
That's how the journey started.
That's awesome. Yeah. What I love about the story, right, is like, to me, it's a perfect example of when preparation meets the moment of opportunity.
Yep.
Right? When you stay prepared and when you stay tapped in and doing your due diligence in your work, right? You're consistently putting in the work. When a situation like that arises, you're able to seize the moment. Like, imagine if you didn't put in the time to write and develop that project, or even have that opportunity to where he came over and was like, yo, here's my email, send me something.
Yes.
You were actually probably one of the very few people to actually, take that moment with appreciation and gratitude and actually execute.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes people be like, I'll get your email, and then they go back and they're like, maybe I got to get some, or maybe it's not right, and they're nervous and they never say anything.
Yeah.
So I got to just take my hat off to you on that one, because again, it's showing preparation being the moment of opportunity now, right? It's preparation. Now I kind of want to segue things over to Reggie, because Reggie, I've learned so much. We used to live together, right? And I've learned so much with living with Reggie, because this dude is so self-reliant, right? I've never seen somebody so consistent in putting themselves in a position for magic to happen and to win. And I say that, bro, because a lot of actors out here, they're very discouraged when they're not getting work, or they're not getting projects, or not getting auditions. But I've seen on a multiple of occasions for you to take it upon yourself to go on Actors Access, or to go to casting networks and actually self-apply for these self-tape submissions with no agent, no manager. We're in the house knocking these out. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This episode was brought to you by The Shell Corp, one of our main sponsors. Make sure to go to theshellcorp.com to get 50% off. You can either enter the code RegLuck or Dom's Perspective to make sure that you get 15% off on any of the drip. This is some of the Shell Corp drip right here. If y'all want to peep it, they got a lot of bangers on there. It's one of the dopest clothing lines in the game. So make sure to go check out theshellcorp.com. Enter the promo code. Get some 50%
also
off.
it's unisex too. So yo, men, get your ladies some. Ladies, get your dudes some. Come out walking sweated up. You know what
ladies,
I'm saying?
get your dudes some.
Dudes,
get your ladies some.
You know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean? Just tap in with
That's
us.
what it is. You know what I
Shell
mean?
Corp, baby.
Yeah. And your booking.
Yeah.
Right? And to me, I always thought that was like such a dope quality, because it's like, again, like I'm curious to you and your journey on, like, for example, Chase was like, yo, I was around these network of people. Once I graduated out of school, I had no work, but I put time in to put myself in a position to create a new opportunity for myself. For you, my question is, how did you do that by taking a different path, by you putting yourself in a position to work with all kinds of successful people on the front and on the back end of the production world? How did you fall into that, and like why?
So like, the goal was always to get in front of the camera. You know what I mean? I always knew, of course, I want to work in this realm of film, and this is very inspiring, but it was like the job was to get in front. And it was to learn how to do it. You know what I mean? So every job I took, I was trying to talk to the actors. I'm trying to talk to the directors. I'm trying to see, hey, how did you book this? You know, what did you do? What did you do? And they'll tell me I got an agent, this and that. And I'm like, all right, cool. I don't have an agent. So how I'm going to get this? You know what I mean? And I'm talking to my bro, and he's someone that's familiar on building his own brand. And he's like, hey, it's either you go create your own stuff or you can go out there and get it. You know what I mean? These agents aren't going to like flock to you. It's either you make the work to get them, you know what I mean? Or you're just gonna just be asking. You're gonna just be sending cover letters all the time and just asking. I don't have no accolades, you know what I mean? So it's like, how do I get that? So like, someone just put me on like the self-submissions. You gotta do it yourself. No one's gonna do it for you in this joint. How you go do it, bro? You just gotta, I'm on the internet. What's the submission sites I gotta hit up? What's the best thing? And the crazy thing with the Daniel Hall thing, that was the biggest full circle thing in my life as an actor. Chase was prepared. I was not. I was not.
How so?
I got into Daniel Hall in 2017. Easy with nothing. But they was like, hey, we need you to get this, and this, and we need it now. I didn't have no paper. I don't know how to get headshots. I'm like, oh, snaps, what do I do? You feel me? I'm lagging on my stuff. So they like, we got to shelve you, bro. But then what I did, I picked up those submission sites they was talking about. Actors Access, Casting Networks, Casting Frontier. I'm like, all right, let me just build it then. Let me put $60 for a year?
Yeah.
Unlimited submissions?
Yes.
Oh, game on.
Let's
What?
work. Let's work.
Game I on. love that. Let's go. And the way I found out about that, I rolled into like my boy Cisco pulled me into like this personal acting class. It was like 4 of us up in there. We had this teacher named Michael Shannon Jenkins. Real love the work he put me on, because like that was like my first class as an actor. So it was tough too. He was rough on us. I loved it. He on us. But he was like, man, you gotta, this is how you do it. These cats, same thing the bros telling me. They not gonna come get you unless you doing it. Unless you get your shit. You know what I mean? It's just like getting out of college. How you gonna want me to build a resume when I don't got no work? I just got out of college, bro.
Yeah.
Trying to figure it out.
Facts. Very
You know what I mean? So you gotta go look for work. You know what I mean? You gotta go look for it. And you gotta build it yourself. So I'm on that Actors Access, bro. I'm putting money into myself. I'm getting my headshots. I'm getting good headshots now. Like, okay, these ain't just like my homies snapping me up.
Booking national commercials now.
You know what I mean? Now, yeah,
nationals. We know how that national is.
I'm on nationals. You know what I'm saying? So it was just surreal on that. But when I was on Actors Access, bro, it was a year, bro, till I actually booked something. I was at first it was like 60 submissions a day. 60. It's like baseball. It's like Tinder and baseball, y'all. It's a numbers game. It's a numbers game because you go strike.
Yeah,
you go strike out.
That's the realest thing.
Yeah.
I love that because again, it's like in this game you have to have the marathon mentality. You know, you have to stay consistent because again, you know, the movie I did with Johnny Depp that took 5 years to come out. That took 5 years, bro. And even I was just on the last episode I was talking about with my castmate Catfish. This movie Roadhouse we just did, right? We got done filming in October of last year. It's not gonna come out for probably another year. There's so much that could be done in the meantime. But it's like the people who stay consistently hungry and don't get comfortable, but they're content. They're content with like, okay, I booked this, I'm working on this, but then now I gotta find a way to elevate. I gotta find a way to get another level. And what I love about your story was how you were able to at least recognize the opportunity in terms of like when you, like for example, let me take a step back. When you said that Daniel Hoff, you're like, I was in Daniel Hoff in 2017, but I wasn't prepared. It was like, that's like one of those things where it's like, if one of the opportunities comes your way, like in like a, like out of the blue manner, you know, you have to be prepared. But if like you're not, you're like, okay, I won't ever let this happen to me again because I'm gonna put myself in a situation to win. Right. And I love that you recognize the fact that you're like, yo, hold on, man, like they just shelved me. I was with a top agency, now I'm not getting any auditions. Okay, instead of just coming up with an excuse and blaming them for not getting me work, why don't I take accountability and be like, you know what? Let me go and put myself in a position to win and put myself in a position to where now, again, technically 2017 to now 2023, you came back years later, signed with the main guy, and now you're working, they're one of your favorites now. Like you guys have a great relationship.
Yeah, great relationship, bro.
That's
Stay
fine.
ready, don't have to get ready.
So my question to both of you guys is like, in either one of you guys can go first, but you know, as creatives and as entertainers, what are some of the things that you guys struggle with, and what are some of the habits that you find yourself in the past years that you had to break out of in order to evolve into the new person you are? This is a question I've been asking on every episode because to me it's such an in-depth question of true awareness, right? I think it's so important to have, I like to call it higher awareness. And one of my favorite quotes recently right now is, never lie to yourself, because everyone could believe your excuses, but you won't, right? So I think that plays in a lot to accountability and realizing like if there are habits that are slowing you down, it's because of your own self. So for me, I really want to just kind of dive into like what those areas were like for you guys and how has that growth been like, you know? All right, so which one of y'all want to go first?
I think I'm gonna go first.
Actually, I want to go first.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Let's go. That's 2 out of 3.
Shoot or just out?
I do. Shoot.
So rock, paper, scissors, shoot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
So it's rhythmic, okay?
Yeah.
Oh. Ooh, the two
I'll let
pieces.
you win.
I go first. Wait your turn.
That doesn't happen on Smash though.
Super smash. Yeah, you get
So,
smacked.
Dom, could you please repeat that marvelous question?
I'm not gonna repeat it, but you know what I asked.
Okay, so
You too
what,
busy trying to play rock,
what
paper, scissors.
what I remember the question being, you were saying like,
So what are some of the habits that you find yourself, struggling with, and how did you evolve out of that to grow to the person you are now in terms of like your new work habits and to the way you're moving? You're getting ready to move to New York in 2 months, so all these things that you're getting ready to do in your new journey, I feel like had to at first deal with like self accountability.
Yep.
I
I would say that word right there is the entry point.
Right there.
Is accountability. Like, how are you showing up on a daily basis?
Yeah.
For example, if you are working for yourself, building your own, you got to set a clear schedule for yourself. There's 24 hours in a day. What time are you waking up? Are you waking when it is dark outside and the light is starting to peek out? Or are you waking up and people are already at work? Accountability is what I had to face in order to do my task freelance. And the only person that's holding myself back, especially now, would be myself. So now check this. This is where it gets deep and vulnerable. Where I had to take accountability was a lot of the frustration I had, because in Hollywood or trying to get shows sold, that takes a very long time. So you could make the product like Roadhouse and wait 2 to 3 years for it to come out. But then you could have a show, develop it, have all these little pieces, and wait 2 to 3 years just to get that
picked up.
Exactly. So it's a lot of time that is seemingly being wasted, or maybe it's just part of the process. So what I had to face, I was like, man, why is no one seeing this? Why is no one understanding this is the greatest shit, like, right, ever. I had to check myself and say, like, where is that energy even coming from? Yes, I'm passionate about this shit because I do it every day, but where is that, like, lack feeling coming from? And as I was kind of just diving and just kind of reflecting, there was a friend of mine who helped me realize what that blockage was. And it was the feeling like, Chase, you've always felt invisible. And when she said that, it hit me in my spirit because I never thought of that. But she was like, you always felt invisible. And it's not because I felt invisible due to my...
You're 6'6".
I'm 6'6". You can't, look, it's like you can't miss me. But I think I felt invisible from like who I am. People never saw me for who I was.
You are.
They see me for the 6'6". They see me for all these attributes.
Yeah.
But they're not seeing Chase, Yeah. And so as a filmmaker, when you're trying to get your shows and everything picked up, the whole vibe is to get your work seen to the rest of the world. And so when those feelings of blockage and that tension point of not picking up your shows, that makes you dive in and be hard on yourself because you're blaming yourself for what's happening when it's coming from an insecurity you've had your whole life.
You're learning how to deal with rejection.
Exactly. And so being a child actor, rejection, that's why I stopped. It was having to overcome rejection and having to stop caring about what other people think about you.
I call it the spotlight effect, right? Where it's like, I was explaining this to Isaac and Jake the other day. DJ too, as a matter of fact, we were all in there. Okay, so the spotlight effect is this. So imagine you walk into a grocery store, right? And as you're walking to the grocery store, you're kind of looking around like kind of feeling like, is anybody looking at me? Or I hope nobody like look at me weird or whatever. And so you're trying to stay like get in and get out, but whatever. And then the funny part is everybody in that grocery store is thinking the exact same thing. So really nobody's really looking at anybody because nobody gives a fuck. Everybody's looking at themselves. And it's the same analogy where it's like, if you have a zit on your face and you go to your school or you go out, whatever, you think people care about your zit? No, they're worried about their own zit on their own face. So,
exactly.
like
half the time, nobody even see the shit.
Yeah, nobody gives a fuck.
Oh, see this thing right here?
Yeah. Nobody gives a fuck. Like, and I'm keeping it blunt because it's like, having that realization of like, dealing with rejection is realizing like, okay, there are things in your control and there are things that are out of your control. And I love how for you to gain control is going inward. And you're like, hey, how can I look myself in the mirror, go inward and recognize like this frustration? Where is this coming from? Where's the root of this? So I can channel this into a healthier way. Because now I know you as a storyteller, you tend to write about your frustrations and you'll implement into characters and it doesn't end up turning to like a tool, like an experience.
Like therapy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's fire. I love that.
Yeah.
What about you, Reg?
Man, some things that I felt like there's always a roadblock. There's always steps. So first of them was like getting into the rooms. You know what I mean? It used to be that issue, like how can I just do this? You know what I mean? How can I get in these rooms and just showcase myself? And then once I figured that out, was one getting into class, always working on yourself, writing. You know what I mean? As an actor these days, you just can't be just an actor. You need to like tap in on how directors think and how writers think. You need to tap in on actually just not want to just be on camera. You need to go to class. You need to work on your technique. You know what I mean? It's the little things. And so one thing that keeps me driving in this thing is like, I think of this whole industry as football, bro.
I love that.
You know what I mean? It's all a football. It's like an all organization, man. Like everybody got different groups. We got to come together. We got to run this play and we got to execute. If we don't execute, we don't score, bro. We wasting money. You know what I mean? So when I'm in this journey, man, and things not executing as myself, I'm like, all right, what attributes can I just grow for myself? Is it just reading? Is it just listening? You know what I mean? Like, is it just like getting out in the world? Because as an actor, I gotta feel. You know what I mean? And like transitioning from a PA to the camera, I gotta really learn how to like get back vulnerable. You know what I mean? I went from, you know, being Mr. Structure and like, yo, I gotta do my thing. Now I'm like actually running myself. I'm in my business now. Like, so how do I build this thing up? And it's just me. I'm always just looking at my people around me. You know what I mean? Because everybody around me is doing something either that I'm going for and like we in the same lane and like I can just learn from them. You know what I mean? Whether they're doing it better or we equal. Because I don't think anyone in my circle is like ever doing less than anyone. Like I feel like we just can just learn from someone. You know what I'm saying? So like it's just all an uplifting way. So whenever I'm in a roadblock, I'm turning towards someone to be like, yo, what do you do when you was in this situation? Because it's all about different experiences in this thing. You know, so that's something and it's always like what Chase said, bro. It's self-awareness. I gotta identify my problems. You know what I mean? And then I gotta reflect on that. I gotta be aware of it. I gotta accept it, and then figure the next play out, bro. Because you gotta if you just go dwell on this thing and like, dang, I'm not booking. Oh, nobody wants to like have me in their sketch, or like, man, I don't know how to like get myself out there. My followers aren't popping because I'm not getting booked because this person has more followers, or like I'm just not getting booked because he has more work. Like, what do I like? It's just, all right, cool. You know what? Let me take some more pictures then. Let me just get on the look. Let me tap in with that, bro.
See, I love, again, what you just said, because, again, it's, for me, when I hear the way you break down the process of, like, essentially not comparing yourself to another person's journey and doing the work, right? Because when you just do the work,
it's gonna come out.
It's gonna come. Again, like I love the fact that you brought up the football analogy, right?
Yeah.
That you feel like the industry is like this like team oriented thing. You see how the system works. You see what you got to do to make it work, and then how if you're not showing up, how that affects the entire system, right? And when it comes to you staying prepared, you're like, yo, I'm staying in classes. I'm not comparing myself to anybody else's journey. I'm just gonna keep on just doing me and just keep doing the work. And you know, I feel like everything I've ever gotten, for example, has come through acting, right? Purely. Everything I've gotten has come through acting. The rooms I've been in, when it comes to the network that I now have, when it comes to traveling, the experiences, at the end of the day, the root of it has come from acting. So I feel like for people who want to get the followers, or the people that want to build themselves as a brand, like, just focus on the craft.
Yes.
Because the more you dedicate more time onto the craft and you keep diving into that realm of being more of a master in what you love, again, when that moment of opportunity comes, you're going to be ready. You know what I'm saying?
To piggyback off that, like, this is what I came to learn over the years. Your network is what gets you into the door. It's your skills that's going to keep you in that door.
For real.
I love that.
Bro, and to piggyback off that, I learned that when we worked on Black as Fuck. Black AF, or that's what
Kenya
it's
Bear
called
Show.
now, right?
Could you elaborate on that first off, on how that weird occurrence?
Bro, so the way that, all right, so I didn't even know Chase is even in that joint. You
So
feel me?
Black AF, for those who don't know, is one of Kenya Barris' shows that they both were on and worked
Yeah,
on.
it's on Netflix. Go check it out.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Shout out.
I don't know how I got in that door, bro. I'm on a job. I'm working on a different job, bro. I get a call like, hey, you want to come interview for Black as AF? I got your name from... They didn't even say who they got my info from, bro. They was just like, my name is Candace. I heard you were good. You know how to do your thing. We want to interview you for like set PA or whatever. I'm like, all right, whatever. It's the Kenya Barris show. I'm like, Kenya Barris? I heard of that name. Yeah, I heard she hard. Like she do groanies. Yeah, she hard. Never seen, bro. She hard. The whole interview, I'm like, yeah, Kenya Barris tight. The groanies. Yeah. Get the job, bro. And coming out the interview, I ran into this fool, and he's like, yeah, I work for this. I'm like, what? Lit, I just got the interview, bro. I hope I get it. You know what I mean? So it's like, man, we get on there, and it's like, first time I see Kenya Barris is our meeting, and he's like, what's up, y'all? Kenya Barris. And I'm like, you got the chain on and everything. But that's how I get in there. And then, like, I learned that your skill gets you into the door because they made me the anchor. They was like, I need you working with the first team. We need them when they coming out of wardrobe. We need them on set at this certain time. You're dealing with Kenya, Rashida, the kids, the
and
parents.
Rashida, we're talking about Rashida Jones. Quincy Jones' daughter.
Yeah,
Bro.
she cool too. They all cool.
Solid.
If you own your shit.
Yes.
So outside of like Hollywood, right? What do you guys do for your mental health to keep balance?
Man, of course you gotta journal, read. The book I'm actually reading right now is The Power of Now, which I got for Christmas. And that's just actually taking the opportunities at hand and just going at it, jumping off the cliff. You know what I mean? And also meditate, man. You gotta meditate.
That's a big part.
Love meditating, man.
meditate,
That's
bro.
so crucial.
You gotta meditate.
Trust me.
And like journaling actually helps too. Like I call my thing jam. Journal, affirmate, meditate.
Yes.
Yeah. Now that was something that Reg, put me on game about when we were living together. And he was like, "Yo, let's have a jam sesh." Saying, "Got journal, affirmations, meditation." And the reason why I love that meditation is such a topic that we talk about amongst friends, is because one, people already know how many health benefits there are to the brain, right? But me personally, meditation this past year has been something I've really been doubling down on. I've really been doing my best to consistently master how I'm using my levels of dopamine. I was watching a podcast on Jay Shetty's where basically one of the doctors he had on there was breaking down the concepts of different dopamine levels, right? You can either dump out bucket loads of dopamine or you can drip bits of dopamine. And they're like, well, how do you separate the two? How do you know you're dumping loads of like dopamine, like bucket loads of dopamine, but then you're dripping, like how do you know the difference? So they said this, when you're dumping like bucket loads of dopamine, that means you're probably spending a lot of time on your phone, looking at your notifications, like you're doing things that give you pleasure in the moment, but that aren't good for you long term. So it's like an excessive amount of that makes you feel good, but it's not really good for you, So it can be how people even watch porn, when people just stuck on their phones watching a lot of Netflix. It's just too much of something that's like taking you away and it's not helping you out, right? Versus like, okay, what's a healthy level of dripping dopamine? What you can do is, for example, going on a walk, appreciating the sun. It's a nice day outside. Actually being present, creating power talks, talking about ideas, expanding on these things. If you're watching something that's challenging your mind, So it's like, these things are helping you out for the long term. And for me, meditation has been really a key factor on helping me understand, like, okay, this is what's going on. Now I could pinpoint it. Doesn't seem that foggy. Right. Chase, I know you're a big advocate when it comes to meditation.
Oh, yeah.
All the time, even today's episode, I was like, hey, Chase, let's do it at 11. He's like, yo, fam, can we do it at 11:30 just so I can finish my morning routine? I got to do my meditation.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, for sure, bro. We'll do 11:30. All good. Get your meditation in. Come here and drop these dreams, So why is that such an asset to you in your life,
I mean, I I think your mind could be your best friend, but it could also be your own worst enemy. And a lot of the times, the reasons why we think we cannot achieve something comes down to our mentality. Like, for example, I thought I could never surf because I was always scared and I limited myself. Now I surf. You know, it's because I changed my mentality, and meditation helps you silence your thoughts that are sometimes loud and get back into your body, like feeling your body, feeling your breath, and being present. And so, like, starting your day with that type of intention, whether you want to pray after that, whether you want to stretch after that, whether you want to work out or do whatever, you're in your body and you're present. And that's a good way to start your day, because it's like what Ice Cube used to say, check yourself before you wreck yourself. And a lot of people never check themselves, and they get wrecked on a daily basis. And so I don't ever want to get wrecked. So I make sure that I'm checking myself always, because I'm just like Ice Cube. Like, we have a thing, and I'm like, bro, I'm not trying to get wrecked.
And we like owe it to ourselves. You owe it to yourself to check yourself. Like, why not? Make sure your body's cool. You know, you wanna feel good, look good, self-care. You know what I mean? Like, we about to go out there and go through the ringer. You know what I mean? We about to really exhaust ourselves and really, like, put ourselves out there to go get what we want. You know? And you should always just take time for yourself. You know what I mean? If it's gonna be a long day, try to wake up an hour earlier just to get that 1 hour, just to get a little bit.
Make it a priority.
Like, make it a priority. Like, really chap in with yourself, you know what I mean? And make sure you come as a priority first.
I love that, because you make yourself a priority. I feel like it helps you handle your day in a state of mind where you just feel clear, like the way you're more responding than reacting. You know, I find us, as we've been growing over the years, doing a lot better when it comes to responding to things versus reacting. We're able to, like, okay, hold on, let's just take a second to look at the situation. How can we pivot? How can we adjust? And then go from there. You know, I know as creatives, I'm so glad that we talked about this and just brought this. That's why I want to bring up the mental health aspect in meditation, because I know in the process of you doing your work, and same thing for me and everybody else here in the crew, if you're not taking care of your brain, if you're not developing a relationship with your brain, and you're not developing a relationship with your body, like, you're always going to be at the mercy of somebody else's, like, opinion, you know, and not having that own value and knowing how to check in yourself, meditate, have a clear mind. And when you want to sit down, you want to edit, you want to create, you feel excited. You don't feel like, oh, I'm dragging my feet. Like, a lot of things I like to talk about is because I'm excited to do. I'm really excited. Like, I love to wake up on a Monday and get to it. Some people are like, fuck, it's a Monday. I'm like, yo, it's Monday. Let's get to it. Like, I'm stoked.
You know what I'm saying?
Man,
It's lit.
It feels good. It feels good. And I think it's important for all of us to continue to keep doing that. So from right now, my question to you guys is this, is what advice would you give to any filmmaker, any actor that's out there right now that's in the process of reaching new successes, or that's in the process of trying to connect the dots to even get in the door?
Oh, straight up. TMC. The marathon continues.
Just go keep running.
That is literally the hustle. Because, like, sometimes we get distracted by a whole lot of other stuff, right? The real goal is you're at your starting line. You know what I mean? Everybody else in these other lanes, they're tapped into their goal. You're tapped into your goal. Your lane ahead of you. You can't be worried about someone who's having cold feet, who's having a panic attack over there. Because once that person shoots that gun,
gotta go.
it's just you, your lane. So you're tapping in with your body, what's in front of you. And the only thing that matters is you staying focused. And if anything, you may hear the people in the other lanes around you. Everything else outside of that track does not matter. Stay in your lane, run your race. You're going to get tired. You're going to have to tap into yourself. But it's a marathon. You will get there over time. As you pass a lap, you will learn new things. You will get a different strategy on how to run that next lap a certain way. Just respect the process, and it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So take your time. If you're hitting a wall, look at the wall, say, okay, I could scale this or I could go around the wall. Figure out what your plan is, but just be patient. Stay refining your skills. The marathon continues.
Marathon continues, man. My advice out there is just to trust yourself. When the discouragement come across you, just remember why you're doing it. And if that value still outweighs the stress, keep pushing, man. Because, like, it's going to be worth it. You know what I mean? Like, my process, I'm not done. None of us is done. You know what I mean? And I feel like where we get to what we want to get to, we're going to be like, I want to do something else now. So, like, just always be ready to level it up. And, like, really, you got to change for the situations. Like, back to the ball, back to the field. Like, when you play you can't play every team the same way.
Yeah.
You gotta adjust. So every obstacle that comes to you gotta adjust to, and you gotta take the tools that you got. You might not need all of them, but you gotta find out what tool you need. You might just need one. You know what I mean? Because we pick up so many. So, like, scale it out, like you said, understand it, and then attack that thing. You know what I mean? And, like, really take heed of it. And don't be afraid to ask for help.
No.
Like,
That is key.
don't be afraid. Like, I struggled a lot not asking for help sometimes,
Same.
bro. Like,
Facts.
and that's across the board.
What made
Personal
you-
life.
What made you struggle with not asking for help? Like, what made you want to hold back from that?
What made me want to hold back? Because I didn't want to seem like I didn't know. Pride.
His ego.
I'm new. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't want to hear the discouraging stuff. I didn't want to hear
Rejection.
stuff I didn't want to hear. I didn't want to hear it's hard.
Yeah.
Or, like, you need to do it like this. But then I had to step back and be like, bro, if I'm gonna do this, I gotta be coachable. So I gotta, like, be a player. And that's when I said, oh, this shit's like football.
Gotcha.
That's when I was like, I'm an athlete right
Yeah,
now.
this is a game we're playing.
This is a game we're playing. So I was just like, all right, Reg, you need to start asking. Like, you know what I mean? And, like, I'm still trying to figure stuff out. So I'm just like, you know what I mean? Like, if I don't know it right now, I try to do it. Then I'm like, all right, let me see who else is doing something else, man.
What I like to say is don't be afraid to ask, because when you know you're bringing value to the table,
They gonna stick. with you.
everybody's gonna win.
Everybody gonna win.
And I feel like that's the difference, because now, I feel like if any of us were to essentially ask, right? I don't feel like we're askers. A lot of us, I like to call us collaborators, or we like to partner up, because we're bringing one side of things, and whoever we're linking up with is bringing a whole other side of things too. It's not just like a one-way street, you know? And I think that with you just actually diving into that realm of, like, look, bro, like, I understand now. I see the process. Like, this is just what you got to do in order to be successful. It's just a matter of enjoying the process. And when people say enjoy the process, a lot of times people are like, well, the process sucks sometimes. Well, make the process fun. Make the process fun, because you make the process fun, then you'll start to realize that, again, progress creates more belief. So when you're making progress, when you're consistently saying, like, all right, I know that this is what I love, this is what my heart is saying that I'm meant to do. My love, my passion is outweighing the stress, like you said. So I know this is something I'm meant to do, so don't let go of that goal, that dream.
Don't tilt. You know what I'm saying?
But if you realize what you're doing isn't working, again, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So you got to be able to pivot. You got to be able to adjust. So, I love how you went down in that journey, just breaking that down, man. So that was awesome. Again, man, that was so awesome, just being able just to get the bros on the podcast, because I want this to continue to be a place for good shit.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
Absolutely.
This was vibes. You know,
Yeah.
they really tapping in with that nitty gritty of this. The rawness of this, because like you watch some shows, or you see videos, they just talk about when they're there. You know, those videos, this is how you make $100,000 and how I got my Ferrari. But they just talk about them having the money. But like, now sometimes you got to open those doors and hear the stuff you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
Well, all of us at this point, shit, I can actually say we've been in this for about 10 years plus now. And it's really awesome seeing the levels that we're all reaching. You know what I'm saying? I remember when you first said, man, you're like, yo, I'm about to transfer from CSUN to USC, man. I'm hoping they accept me.
Yeah.
And then you went from CSUN to USC, graduate. You're like, yo, I want to work for a dope production company. Boom, did the whole process with Kenya. And then you're like, man, I want to go independent, do what I'm doing now. And now you're producing your own projects. You're in writers' rooms with top tier people. You have your own docu-film, you know. And I remember the same thing with Reg. I remember when Reg was like, yo, Dom, at Cap's crib, he was like, yo, can you help me with a self-tape, man? I want to start like doing my submissions. And from that growth of like, seeing how you first started just with the self-submissions to like, now you got full representation, you're booking nationals. Like, how many commercials or print campaigns do you think you booked last year?
I don't know.
Like
man.
30?
Maybe. Maybe, because some of them, a lot of them was like non-unions, you know what I mean? A lot of it was just like my own work. You feel me? Yeah, my own self-submission. So yeah.
That's respectable though, bro.
Lot, bro.
You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, man. So I just really wanted to have, you know, like my close ones on today's episode, just so it can get a little bit more personal, just in terms of like, we've been around each other for many years. We know each other's lives, we know each other's stories, but just like get into the nitty gritty of where we're currently at and why we feel like we're at a place right now where these things we're attracting are coming in so much faster than what they did in the past. And I feel like it's because it's based off our new habits. Yeah. It's the way that we're now moving, we're taking accountability, we're doing the work. And then not only are we working with the best, but we're bringing our best to that work. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm just, it's just dope, man. I got a lot of love and appreciation for y'all. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, guys, look, that was another episode of the Inspire to Inspire podcast, you know, the place where filmmakers, actors, content creators, just a creative in general can tune into and connect the dots, man. Make sure to keep tuning in weekly. We'll keep dropping episodes once a week, every week. And make sure to go follow my boys, man. Shady Aquarian is his Instagram. We got my boy Reggie Luck at his Instagram as well too. You know what I'm saying? Make sure to go follow the boys. You guys have anything else you guys want to talk about that's coming out, you guys are working on, developing, that you want to talk about before we head out?
I mean, shit, just keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah, the best is yet to come. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, hold up. You know what? Shout out to my boy CCTV. We're gonna be launching on YouTube around March. Definitely in March. So get ready for that to drop, man.
So that's gonna be with Reg and with Christian Pierce. Y'all saw him on one of the early episodes with King Vader. So him, Reg, and the homie Harp. What's up, Harp?
J Harp.
Yes, sir. Man, they got a YouTube channel dropping called CCTV.
Oh, and my boy Ed, can't forget.
Oh, Ed. Yo, Ed. This kid is insanely talented. Shout out to Ed, man. And then what's up with the docu-film, man? With Devin's project?
Well, I mean, expect a docu-film in a year. Expect a show, maybe on Hulu, something.
Okay.
Like that.
But you in the rooms right now, so something's brewing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, but I have to keep myself quiet. But just be on the lookout for Anthro Pictures and how we're coming. We're about to be one of the best independent film production companies in the intersection of art and cinema.
Man,
Let's get it.
I love it, man.
Let's get it.
Hell yeah, man. We out.